Jarrett Goes to the Movies is a free, commercial-free podcast made possible by our amazing supporters. Please take a moment and visit jarrettgoestothemovies.com.
Let's go.
Click Support Us and see how you can unlock tons of exclusive content, be a part of the show, and much more for as little as $1 a month. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Oh, and listener discretion is advised.
Greetings, everyone! My name is Jarrett Reddick, and this is a podcast. It's called Jarrett Goes to the Movies. Each week, we get together and talk about a movie that we watched that week, plus whatever the hell else is on our minds. And we're glad you're here.
Way back when young teenagers had a collection of 45 RPM records, to me, that was kind of exciting. That was almost better than having a big collection of CDs, albums, and everything else. But imagine, 45 records, 45 RPM records. A better quality and less breakable than the 78 of 10 years before, but with all the music you ever wanted, and you could carry it around in a little box. That's what Tower was about, believe me. It was the music that was meaningful to young people's lives, to everybody really, but mostly young people. And we were how they got it.
In a world. Hi, everybody. That's a weird intro, right? I mean, I feel like we needed something
Welcome
else.
to the Monday Night Quiet Storm.
Hey, he kept it serious, remember?
Sorry.
That was serious.
No, the thing is, though,
It would have been funny if you'd done the Friday thing again this time.
right now, do it, right? Or why not just do it this time? That would have been funny. Hey, it's a somber intro.
Yeah. Wow,
Whatever.
I feel good.
Hey, sugar and spice or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jarrett. This is a podcast. We like to call it Jarrett Goes to the Movies because, well, that's what it's called. We've been here 3+ years.
We can't change it now.
No, it's not. We're not going to change.
We weren't considering it.
No, we weren't.
We were not. I said we were.
Oh,
we
no,
were not.
we're not. Yeah, it's a podcast. We talk about a movie each week that we watched. Now, this week we're going to talk about All Things Must Pass. And this was a surprise to me. I had no idea this was even on the list.
Didn't either.
So, do we know where this one came from? This is a Sean suggestion.
Sean.
So, Sean, and because aren't you from Sacramento?
Yes, sir.
And so this one, you loved this movie. It hit home. You had some friends that were associated with Tower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great story of such a towering giant.
The reason
I wasn't trying to be a fucking asshole.
So buying my first record was a Tower, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I mean that was the place to go, and I had a bunch of friends that worked there, and after watching the doc, just the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
I was like, it's gonna hit home to a lot of other people.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to get into it right now, but there's some emotions involved in this one for me, and just because whether or not I would have ended up being a musician or not, music was really important to me, and it was a big part of. I made all of my friendships based on the music that I listened to. I hung out with the people that I looked the way that I did because of the music that I listened to. I didn't do certain things because of the music that I listened to. I mean, it was just a really big part of me in my life, and this one did. I really liked it. Again, it was out of left field. I had no idea what it was. When I started to bring it up, I'm like, Casey's like, what are we watching? I go, All Things Must Pass. And I've been just joking and saying the thing from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he's, thou shalt not pass, and you see Jason Segel's dick, like right at the very front.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was my favorite part.
Dick or the
No, you see his TT.
the front of the movie.
And it's a good wiener, too. He's got a good one. I mean, it's a good, healthy penis. Good for that guy.
I'd give it a 6.5 out of.
No.
9.
No, it's a good. Well, I mean, when you get.
Did
Here's
you just
the thing.
invent your own scale?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think when you get into because that's just on size, probably. When you get to be too big, I think it starts to go back down.
Well, how would
You
we
know.
know? Yeah,
I don't know. You know what I mean? I could use one.
The guys in the porno seem to be doing just fine.
Do they?
I mean, besides the lifelong coke habit, I'm
Sure,
everything's
exactly.
fine,
Yeah, just
you
the
know?
injections into their
Just,
wieners,
ugh,
all
this
of
is
that stuff.
Terrible.
Yeah, so welcome to the show. Man, it's been a great week. We had a great weekend, busy weekend filled with family and fun. Everett went to visit my mom, so I just saw you guys on Friday. We did an episode. Mm-hmm. We did the movie Friday, which is going to come out Friday.
That's right. With a special take 1.
A very good one. Yeah, exactly. And if you watched the stream, well, you knew what it was in the first fucking 3 seconds of the goddamn fucking intro. But I'm not going to give Austin shit the whole show. You know?
Set an alarm
This
for
episode.
every 30 minutes and then bring it back up
And then
again.
just bring it back. No, but it's a good weekend. Eric is with me, as always. Did you have a good weekend?
I believe so. Let me think.
From what you remember. Now, what happened? You bought a 6-pack of foo-foo beers and you drank it all like you wanted to like taste them and shit, and then you just what'd you get watching Judge Judy and couldn't control yourself?
I watched this film last night and got to drinking and next thing I knew, all 6 of them. It was a mix and match thing because I had picked out a 6-pack of beer just to have at the house because I'm a raging alcoholic and can't function without it.
Yeah.
And but only 6. That's all I need. And but then as I
To
was-
get you to that feeling.
That gets you like just good and ragey.
yeah, just I start kicking the kids shit
Just
around
right
and,
fucking
I
kicking-
thought you were just kicking the kids.
That's what I thought
but
too, yeah.
These
Kicking the kids.
motherfucking toys are everywhere.
No, he doesn't
still.
kick the kids until he has 8. That's why he bought 6.
I know my limits. Come on. Yeah, but then they had like a little mix and match. So yeah, I got a bunch of frou-frou-y.
What is that? That's one of
things.
those things where you go to one of these like Total Wine or some shit, and you can
Yeah.
you make your own 6-pack.
Yes, they've broken down a bunch of beers, out of packs.
And now that's illegal in some states. Did you know that? Like breaking up a 6-pack. I realized Texas fucking rules.
I don't know. I mean, we probably are in the middle because when I talked to Kelsey and she grew up in Ohio, she said the bars would have like a glass case of
To go.
like to-go beers, and so when we got done at the bar, like especially when we were in bands,
Yeah.
everyone was drinking the whole time. We could drink some, but not
Yeah.
as much as we would want to. But then
Yeah.
when the gig is over, the bar's closed. If you didn't have beer at home, out of luck.
Well, that's why
Well, you
I
could
got
just take
famous.
some
I
out of
fucking,
there.
they still give me beer.
I know
Hey.
that is nice.
Did something else interesting happen to you on that grocery store trip?
Nothing of note.
No,
really.
she's talking about when you went
I
to
know.
Target.
No,
No, you went to Target, right?
Kroger.
It was
Kroger. Same
Oh, it
thing.
was that trip? That's why you
Same
bought
trip.
6 beers.
It's already in the chat room. I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
Kelsey had Eller with the little shopping cart over picking out some fruit, and I had Greer in the big shopping cart, the main shopping cart, and I was just talking to her, and this guy, and she's a really cute baby, so there had been multiple people that had commented on, and this guy walks by and he goes, "Oh, she is so cute," and I said, "Thank you, luckily she looks like her mom," and he said, "Is this your child or your grandchild?"
Oh my God. Is that how he phrased it?
Yeah. And I said, "This is my kid." And he was like, "Well, they're all blessings," or whatever the fuck he said
Did you
as he
say,
walked
I'm wearing
away.
Air Jordans?
I wasn't. I wish I had been.
Okay. In context, just the fact that you already fucking said, luckily she looks like her mom.
Yeah, my default.
And then also, why would you put both of them into a thing? Like that guy's a fucking asshole.
Well, maybe his daughter, whose child this is, he doesn't like her husband. Luckily, she looks like her mom.
I hope that guy slipped on the fucking detergent that you leaked all over the goddamn floor, Casey.
Somebody definitely died that day at Kroger. I didn't realize until I almost slipped in the wine section, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like, how irresponsible by all this glass? This shit, something's on the fucking floor." And then I just continue my shopping.
Total asshole.
I continue my shopping, and I get to the little, what does it say? About 15 items
Yeah,
section.
I like how they've done that.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
people will start counting your shit. I don't like
100%.
that.
Yeah,
I might
fuck
have
off
16.
Me.
Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I go to get a monster out of the little display thing, and I slip, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'd got laundry detergent and the cap had opened and it had just been like leaking throughout the whole entire grocery store. I almost slipped personally on it twice. Somebody for sure died.
Well,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
We haven't read about it yet, though.
No, but somebody put a needle in an orange.
Other than that, was it a good weekend?
Yeah, well, so the rest of that story is, Kelsey was over there.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like, okay, and just had this look on my face like, what the fuck? I get that I'm getting older, but I would like to think I don't look like someone's grandfather yet.
It's so fucking
But
stupid.
if you were a grandfather, you would look good for your
A
age.
gilf. Maybe
How old
a
are you?
gilf. I'm 41.
Yeah, my mom was a grandma at 34.
Right, yeah, and
possible.
So then I look over to see if like Kelsey heard that, and she's just standing there with this big shit-eating smile on her face,
Yeah.
like that just fucking happened.
God.
And she was like, "Did that hurt?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, a lot." And
Yeah, it fucking
then
hurt.
we just laughed and cried
Yeah.
a lot.
Who cried?
I did the crying, as I often do. Besides that, kind of. Yes, I mean, I get mathematically speaking, it is possible I could have a grandchild now, but I just
Yeah, you might be the same age difference as Everett and my dad.
Here's the thing. I want to hear more about your weekend, but I have a bone to pick here.
with me.
Yeah, you. I've been going to trivia now for about a year and a half. I go to this thing every Wednesday. I spend a shitload of money. All my friends go there to support your shit.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, this is where it's going. And then you, just because some guy, it's his birthday, do this whole category, which nobody in the whole place is going to know any of the answers to the shit. This baseball category or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over it now, actually.
What category did we do on your birthday?
I was going to say he gave you one.
When Linus was here,
I gave you a job, Eric.
I just wanted to find out what you think the category was for your birthday.
It was hair metal bands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that
And
you
did
guys
you get
come.
12 out of 12 or whatever?
Yeah, but I always get the music ones right.
I want to take this quiz.
I pretty much
The
do
baseball quiz?
really well.
Oh, the hair metal one.
And anytime he's
sucked.
like, "Do you recognize the band?" I fucking get that, or like the band member who's missing and all that shit. I get all that.
Yeah, he did for you. One time you gave that old cup, the old table one,
Well-
and they didn't show up.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
danger of
right.
soliciting
I was so
suggestions.
frustrated because they didn't win the week before, and then we didn't win this week. And
That table that wanted the thing didn't even win that round.
I don't. You know what? I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. You're right. You're just doing your job, and I'm frustrated, and I was taking it out on you.
No, I knew that the whole time, but I appreciate you admitting it.
I was so frustrated.
Try not to be a bitter bitch for the rest of the show.
I won't. I'll be fine. I won't. I will be fine. I fucking love it. I love trivia so much. I could go every day.
Yeah, that other team's got to
I
go,
could not. Well,
No,
you guys got to up your game.
no. It's
You guys got used to being on top, and you got complacent.
though. Yes, we did.
We
And then,
did.
You
and
know,
it felt good. We ate hot wings. We got hammered, and we still won.
Yeah,
like
and
it
just
was fine.
walked in there like hot shit, walked out of there like hot shit. But now
yeah.
you got to think about things.
I think you fucking just put. I think you put some people in there to fuck with us.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, I don't really care if y'all win or lose, but I wouldn't just intentionally make y'all lose.
My lovely wife Casey is here.
Hello.
Casey had a migraine today,
Yeah, that helped a bunch.
and
Good.
and here's the thing though. And me and Sean were recording some Bowling for Soup, and so about an hour before we were done, I was just like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna have a beer, and I had a beer, and then I had another one, and we finished, and we fucking kicked some ass today.
Yeah, it was good.
Sean engineering some BFS. But then it got to be about 7:30, and we were already doing our interview that you're gonna hear later on with Michael Russi, who worked at Tower Records in Sacramento. And Casey just texts me and goes, "Are you drinking?" And I go, "Uh-oh." I go, "Yeah."
like I knew something.
Yeah, exactly. I go, "Yeah." And then I go, "Is that okay?" And then she just goes, "Yeah, so I'm just going to get myself something to drink too. Just making sure that you're not on your own." God, I love you so much.
Did you get beer though?
No, I asked him if he needed anything. He didn't text me back.
I did. I said get some beer.
Oh, because you only had 4.
I'm fine. I don't care. I'll drink them White Claws or whatever, and maybe I'll just drink 4 beers tonight.
No, you
Oh,
won't.
so you did.
Yeah.
Have you met Jarrett?
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean 316 is here.
Yo, yo, yo.
We got an empty couch tonight. Sean, thanks for coming over and helping me
No problem.
today. That was fun.
That was good.
It was fun doing some singing with you.
My smoke alarms need battery replaced. Will you come over to my house?
Oh my God!
You have to
What a
schedule through
mean
my
thing to say.
You have to schedule through my assistant. Jarrett.
Here's the
That's how
thing.
me and Jarrett started. Like,
Hanging out, kicking it,
no, we were already doing that.
Changing light bulbs and chill.
light orbs.
I think that's how she knew she loved me.
You got on a ladder and
No, she
brought
lived
a
in an
dog.
apartment, and I lived in a long ways away,
A compound.
and her smoke alarm just kept going off, and she couldn't get it done. So I brought a
And I had
ladder,
like fucking taken it apart, and it was
I
like
brought
that
a-
episode of Friends,
ladder to her house and climbed up on it and fucking
and did
fixed
some
it.
boy shit.
I did some boy shit.
wow.
And it actually took him a lot longer than I think he anticipated because it was super fucked up.
Yeah, because it's an apartment, you can't just unhook it, so it will never stop. So it required actually like taking the thing apart and like making it fucking. I made the motherfucker.
I think in apartments, like, they're all linked together.
No,
No.
This
It didn't
isn't
just
like
require
Anyway,
putting-
then the whole building burned down and everybody died.
yeah, but
'Cause he
but
messed
I
up the
wasn't
But
there.
the beeping went off.
But there was no beeping.
Yeah, he brought his dog and a ladder, did some boy shit.
Yeah, I did, and then I did some boy shit to you.
But
It was a good night. I might have even brought food. I mean, I don't know. I was pretty badass.
the protein shake.
I'm a good
Chinese
boyfriend.
food?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, we ate a lot of payway back then.
Yeah, you did used to bring me payway.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, guys, let's get to some business, and then let's talk about this movie we want to, right? Mm-hmm. This is a Daniel Cotton and David Dooley production. Those are our bosses. For some reason, I didn't get to thank Michelle Price for becoming a $1 supporter.
Nice,
Yeah.
Michelle. Thanks.
And so thanks, Michelle,
God, nobody tell Gary.
about the $1
Yeah.
a month. It's $1 a month.
I know, but he'll
Yeah.
still be mad.
I don't know. She keeps her own special wine stock for
Don't
Jared.
say that. That does
specifically.
happen, actually. Yes, that's why I think that it just because it's even $1 is great because they do enough.
Yeah.
There's Jarrett wine at their house for when I'm in the pool and I decide it's time to change.
Yeah, and I think all the women collectively just provide me that last bottle of champagne I don't need.
Yeah,
Like, you know? It's really
exactly.
nice. Somebody always got one.
We got good friends around here.
Is Jarrett switched to wine time based on a hour of the day,
Most of the time.
or is it just after 15 beers now it's wine time? Or is
no,
it both?
Yes.
it's more of just like a point in the whole thing. Like when it's time to like wind down, you know?
Wine
like
down.
Hi-yo, I didn't mean it like that. Thank you for getting it like that, though. We are supported solely by Patreon. This is a free podcast. You don't have to pay us any money. However, the money that you do spend if you are supporting the show does go directly to the show's support. I want to say that $20 supporters are actually getting a perk in August and one in September, and they're really cool. I sent photos to everybody yesterday, and I think they're badass. Our executive producers, let me take that again. Our executive producers are also $20 and up supporters. They do include Adam Craner, Amy Pittsinger, Andy Smith, Ashley C., Brian Mason, Brian Dunning, Chris Cranfill, who is still one of our sponsors. Chris Holt, Daniel Cotton, and David Dooley, our corporate VPs. Now, those guys, we might see some changes over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to fuck me up because it's not going to be alphabetical. David Murray, Diane Small, nope, Don Petretta, Geraldine Darling, Greg Lee, Jared Spear, John Eimer, John Gickler, Josh Millman, Kim Murphy, Kirsty Fisher, Dick Gazinia, Lisa Wenzel, Lucy Murray, Mandy Pretty, Michael Price.
We're just moving past that.
No, it's because I skipped it. I was like, nope, I caught it. And then I decided to throw it in just to make them laugh more. Yeah, anything you put on the teleprompter. Dick Gazinia? I've never heard that one before. Mike Breton, Nick Brignoni, Rodon James, Sean Blackstone, Simone Vark, Steve May, who will be coming up doing one of my favorite movies of all time, Fletch, coming up in the next couple of weeks. Tess Green, Trey Wren, Wendy Croft, Woody Chambers, your favorite record podcast, and Svi Hurst. Let's get into this movie. It's called All Things Must Pass, The Rise and Fall of Tower Records, 2015 movie, which I didn't know about this.
It's one of those Angelica movies, like Angelica type.
Sure, but at the same time, like, we look for documentaries all the time to watch. It's just that as I watched this, I realized I wouldn't have watched this because nobody died. I like to see people get killed.
Technically.
Well, Bud died. Bud
In documentaries?
Yeah, I like to see people get murdered, or it's got to be like a cult. Me and Casey, for
crime.
like 2.5 weeks, only watched cult documentaries, like, for real.
Well, you would love this World War II documentary that I watched.
Oh, yeah?
Lots of people die in that.
We came out of the cult documentary phase, and we realized I had accidentally been in a cult one time, I think.
No, I already knew that you had been in a cult. We
Well, I
watched the
accepted
documentary, and you accepted the fact
Yeah, a lot
that
of people who are in cults
so I called
don't
my
realize
friend
it.
who I think was in the cult, and I was like, hey, did you know we were in a cult? He was like, yeah.
Yeah, we were in a fucking cult.
That's why we're not in it anymore. It was a fucking cult. I'm like, oh.
That is a fucking true story.
It really is. I mean, I'm making it a joke, but it kind of happened.
That did happen.
That guy had said, like, pack up your shit. We're moving to an island. And we're like, I'd probably been like, yeah, I mean, that fucking sounds right.
Yeah, we're
Move
gonna
into
do
a spaceship.
whatever. You know?
You know?
That happened to those people. The
Well,
people
I'm
on the
afraid to
bunk
fly.
beds.
I wouldn't go in a spaceship, but
The people on the bunk beds. The
Gate, Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, Heaven's
something.
Gate.
Yeah.
Is that right?
people in
Heaven's
the
Gate?
bunk beds?
Yeah, because they were all like it was a mass suicide, and they were all just
Kool-Aid.
like, no, that's
that's
different.
Jonestown.
That's Jonestown.
I was going to make a joke
Heaven's
about
Gate.
Jonestown.
No. The one where they were gonna get
The weird
by
old guy.
aliens.
And they all had the same, like, Adidas shoes or
And-
Nike shoes.
and-
Yeah, they were like the little sweatsuits and stuff.
yeah.
They were all in like bunk beds and shit in this commune, and all like that. Then they all took the whatever the fuck and went to bed.
Do you want to hear a joke about the Jonestown cult?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, I would tell it, but the punchline is too long.
Ayo.
Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
it.
I like that a lot.
You said a joke that I think might be like one of my favorite jokes ever recently. I don't even know if I relate it to you because I was going to tell you should steal it.
Yeah.
About the difference between a chickpea and a gar. Can you do it?
Do you know what the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo
Bean.
and a garbanzo bean is?
No.
I've never had a garbanzo bean all over my face.
Oh.
He did that at trivia and I fucking lost it.
Dude.
Like, where is Jared? Because he would steal the shit out of that.
That is a great joke.
Really good
I
setup.
could do that in Bowling for Soup comedy jam.
Do it.
That might be good.
Yeah.
To replace my frog joke.
I didn't make it up, so you don't even have to credit me.
Well, that's good.
I know you weren't going to.
73% on IMDb. I'm a joke creditor from way back.
Oh, good.
Not on stage.
If it's blatant, I am. 94% Rotten Tomatoes. That means this shit's good. You know what I mean? And that's fucking high.
That's really good.
Over to Eric for his motherfucking synopsis.
All right, short synopsis. Filmmaker Colin Hanks examines the history of Tower Records, from its rise and fall to the legacy forged by its rebellious founder, Russ Solomon.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny. One of the things about this podcast that is really cool for me is that I see people watching movies because we're going to do them. And my friend Eric Walker, who I've been friends with for more years than I could count, we were in a band together in high school, and now have reconnected and are talk all the time. And he didn't know about this documentary and watched it just because we were going to do it. And so the back and forth was it was a pre-discussion about this, and I had to sort of end it because I'm just like, hey, I'm watching it right now. But anyway, I just getting his feelings on this whole thing, because he and I used to go to these record stores together, was really cool. A little bit of trivia.
Wait,
Yes.
you only read the short synopsis.
Oh, we have a long one too.
We have a long
I
one.
am so sorry.
Get ready.
All right.
Let's go.
All Things Must Pass is a documentary that explores the rise and fall of Tower Records and its legacy forged by its rebellious founder, Russ Solomon.
What's funny? Did you put both of those in his notes?
No, but that wasn't planned to be that way.
Oh, they're just both the same.
I pull the short synopsis from one area and the
Yeah.
long from the other,
They're the same.
and that's what it was on both of
okay.
them.
That's funny. What's funny is as you're reading the first one, he's over there chuckling, and I couldn't figure out. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is he laughing at? You know what I mean? And then I start talking about my friend Eric, and he's over there still laughing, and I'm like, shit, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And then I start to move on, and then I realize that there's a bit.
There's always another gag
Unofficial.
right around the corner.
It was not planned.
Yeah, now that's fucking funny, by the way. That means, you know what that means? That's the motherfucking synopsis of this movie. Yeah, whether you like it or not, that is it.
No more, no less.
A little trivia here. Now, to promote the release of the film, the still empty building, which once housed the Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard, which, I mean, it was still, God, it's such a landmark, and it's something where, like, I haven't been down that far in a really long time, but because Linus lives, I guess, west.
Well, this store is pretty much like, if you remember how Sunset.
I know exactly where it is. What I'm saying is I don't get down that far. Like he lives more towards
like Whiskey,
West Hollywood. Like yes, down there. Yeah. And so just to drive by there and not see it, I can't even imagine what that looks like. In West Hollywood, let's say. Oh, sorry. I thought that was a. Sorry, I thought that was a period. So they took the building in West Hollywood and had its facade. I got it, baby. It was Fresh Prince.
I know you got it.
I know, but I didn't know I'm still worried about this punk.
I didn't say anything. This is an audio podcast. I was doing a good job.
Boom.
She's right.
Roadhouse.
You can throw your hands up and be like, fuck. Yeah, like, that's fine. Right. So they repainted it.
Ruined the flow, Jarrett.
That's right. It was me. They repainted it to appear as it once had, and this led to rumors that the store was going to reopen. But in fact, it had been sold to Gibson Guitars in 2014 with the intention of opening a guitar showroom while preserving the historic building itself. Not yet ready to open their showroom, Gibson worked with the documentary makers to repaint the building to display the tower facade.
And right now, you can see in the photo on the screen, it's the bottom photo is pretty much just a parking lot, which that's really what they're doing right now for them.
Right. So is it still like that now?
As far as I know, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so the repaint was planned to be taken down after the premiere party was held inside the building, but remained up for over a year while Gibson continued to plan their new store. So I didn't know that there was a Gibson there. So that's interesting to me. Man, I was in that Tower Records a bunch of times. We'll talk about that in just a bit. This movie did $166,872. That is very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
like I said, it was like only like in what do they call those theaters? Like
boutique.
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's always like
Angelica.
limited release or whatever, and it's a documentary. I mean, I think documentaries kind of get their wheels after a while anyway.
And this was on Netflix right after it, after it was out of the theaters.
Yeah, so this movie stars a bunch of people that Chuck D. When was he in this?
That was the first one on here, and I don't remember him.
Yeah, when was Chris Cornell in this?
Chris Cornell was in it because he was interviewed and talked about being at Tower Records.
I don't
remember
that.
Chuck D or Chris Cornell, but it's his IMDb.
I do not remember either of those people. David Geffen, I do remember. David Grohl, I do remember. Elton John. Russ Solomon, owner and founder of Tower, comes across as such a good dude. You know what I mean? Like he, I bet he would have been great to sit and have a beer with while he sips some whiskey and just talk. You know?
Probably. He is dead.
I said was.
Oh, okay. I thought you said is.
Would have been.
Okay.
I didn't know that he was dead till I got here today. And then Sean told me. And then Questlove, and I don't remember Questlove being in this at all.
Don't remember that.
I don't remember.
Bruce Springsteen is in this. So
Yes.
I think, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that? Something just flew in my mouth. And this is my house. I can't even complain about it. Jesus Christ, Jarrett, there's fruit flies in your house. Shut up. Stop talking to me like that.
There was
don't yell at me. I'm on a podcast.
There was a still photo of Bruce Springsteen in like a waist-length leather jacket.
Yeah.
Like walking into the store. So fucking cool.
He looked so cool in that
Oh, I did say it
photograph.
was like from the 70s or 80s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
saw
I
that.
said that out loud, and Kelsey said, I think it was just that era just made people look cool.
No.
Well, Elton John looked pimp as hell.
Yeah, walking in there with that sweat tracksuit on.
But,
Suede.
dude, you're right, though. I mean, there's something about
It's that
rock stars back in the
grainy,
day.
like footage, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just rough.
But I
on
don't
the
think it's that.
edges
I
and-
don't think it's just that it was the time. Like, I just think that some people just have this
There
cool
was an
fucking
attitude,
thing
man.
about them. And I think now we're all things are just getting bland, and now also it's like everybody's tattooed and everybody's got cool fucking hair and everybody's got access to these. Because if shoes that are super cool and hip get popular and they're $150, well, in a week and a half you can get them at Target for $20.
Yeah.
It's a different world we live in. Like, but I mean, because I remember just watching shit back in the day, just being like, God, it's so cool how they dress and how they do their hair, and it's so cool.
There was also a mystery to rock stars back then.
Yeah.
You didn't know everything about them. You didn't know,
Man, preach.
you couldn't go onto Wikipedia and find out really anything you wanted to know about any individual,
No.
alive or dead. There was a mystique and this aura about what they were and what they were up to and what they were doing that you can't have that anymore unless you really go out of your way to protect all of your privacy, and then you just seem like a weirdo.
Well, or if you're not already famous, you don't have a career. And I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time. When people are like, how has social media impacted you? But it's like, social media to me now is a full-time job. It's so busy for me that I can't do everything. So we've got Sean and Austin trying to handle this stuff over here, and it's just too much. And the thing about it is that I say this line in so many interviews where I'm just like, man, I thought it would have been great to know what Nikki Sixx had for breakfast in 1987. Like, that'd have been the shit.
I can tell you what it was.
Right? Vagina. No, but seriously, like, had I just had that access just to, like, know what they were doing on a day or, like, what their lives were like and shit. And just, this is, again, one of those things where the things that kids can't do, prank calls and things like that, all the things that we've talked about. Listen to the Rockstar Dad Show, by the way. Last couple of episodes, we've really gotten into this. And you know what? But you benefit so much more in other areas. There's no complaints.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have an iPhone you can literally look up a photo of whoever you want, and it'll be as recent as this week.
Yeah.
Regina King.
You know? Exactly. Yeah, Sean has been sending me all kinds of pictures of her.
Thanks a lot,
nutty.
Sean.
Yeah.
You know, in Sacramento, there weren't very many places for kids to hang out. There was, like, you know, downtown there was places, but in the north area, there was hardly any north area. So it was, you know, Tower Books and Records were in this parking lot surrounded by nothing. And for kids in high school, that's what you did. You know, you went to Tower Records. It was the beginning of the folk era, and so we would sit in the parking lot at Tower on our little sports cars and play music. So the guitar guys would come and the banjo guys would come, and we'd sit and play music in front of the record store. And then we'd go into the record store and go into the listening booths and listen to as many records as you could because you couldn't afford to buy any.
Walk right in, sit right down. Daddy, let your mind roll on.
There were makeout sessions in the listening booths. People had sex in listening booths.
We put real big lights in there so they'd be as hot as possible so you couldn't stay in there too long.
Do you want to lose your mind?
This store opened in 1961. I was 11 years old. It was the only place I knew. You would walk down the aisle and you could just see from the front of the store to the back of that aisle just these stacks of LPs. You know, somebody came up with that terminology, stack them high and sell them low.
Yeah. Stack them high, sell them low, like pancakes.
Stacking them deep and selling them cheap.
There you go. That's better for records because they're easy. If you stack them deep, they're easier to look through.
It's like the Westway Ford song or something.
Ball Westway Ford.
Westway
Ford. Yeah. You know, it really is true. It's, you know, I can only equate it to, I remember being older. I'll go backwards. So being older, you know, when we used to come down and play Deep Ellum, we'd be in Denton. We'd just go in tattoo shops and just look at Flash on the wall, you know. And even those
And
days,
they didn't tell you to fuck off at that point? Because that's what they used to do. To us.
not really. I mean, they just would ignore you. But I mean, you'd just look at Flash on the wall and just kind of be around it and just be there, and nobody would talk to you. That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, now you you make appointments for tattoos and you go. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you can walk into a tattoo
you
place
can.
and just look. But record stores, man, probably after this, because again, I would be talking in the late or early 80s, basically. And then on through the early 90s would be when I would go and I would go to record stores for an hour, 2 hours, and just look at things. And I would buy things based upon the cover of the album. And, I found so many bands that way. Just buying it based upon what it looked like or who it was classified with or whatever. And you could just look and look and look. And people, when I was a kid, there's a guy named Steve Carter who's still around in Wichita Falls, Texas. And he was a musician. He was in this band called Damien. And they were really good. And, I wasn't old enough to go to their shows, but I knew that he worked at a record store. So he worked at Record Town, and you just go there and Steve Carter's up there, and he's playing his stuff on that, because they were DJs too.
Yeah.
At Record Town was crazy because it was kind of like that movie that we did about the record store, where they were up on a huge platform. So they were overlooking the whole store. I guess that was a whole thing back then. It's like old school. They were DJing, and you would go in there and they'd be playing something. You'd be like, "What is this? This is really cool." And but in our mall in Wichita Falls, Texas, we had 2 huge record stores that just sold records and posters and eventually tapes and then eventually CDs, and then that was the end of that deal.
Yeah, this movie bummed me out because I think I was just outside of that. I mean, you're significantly older than I am, and it just, I remember going to Collin Creek Mall, and there was a Camelot Records is what it was called, but there were no records in there. By the time I went in, it was tapes. It was just rows of tapes.
But you went there and you browsed tapes, and then and tapes was different because you really couldn't browse it.
You couldn't browse it, and of course, I mean, there was my upbringing too, which anything I wanted to buy, I would have had to take to my parents. And, show it to them, and they would look at the back and make sure it was all going to be appropriate or whatever. But it just watching all those scenes and hearing the stories and hearing you talk about how it was kind of appointment, you would just go and your buddies would be there, and one of the guys in the film talked about, it's how we made friends, it's how we learned about new music.
Yeah. You would
I
literally
kind of cheated by that.
You would though. You would just go in and just be there and look around, and again, there was Record Town, there was
Record City.
No, you son of a bitch.
Record County.
But yeah, there were freestanding record stores back then, and then of course Hastings came in.
Mm-hmm.
Hastings was a big chain, books and records or whatever. The only private jet I've ever been on belonged to Hastings, flying us to Amarillo to play one of their corporate shows, which was fucking great, by the way. But yeah, I knew friends that worked at record stores, and Lance and Eric. Lance, original drummer for Bowling for Soup, worked at this place called Hamilton Bryan, which was a locally owned appliance store that put in a record store. And then Eric worked at Hastings. My friend Dee's dad had a place when we were really little just called Golden Oldies, and he would just buy old records from anybody. It's kind of like this guy. He'd buy them for a quarter and sell them for 25 cents or whatever.
Terrible business.
That profit margin seems razor thin.
Oh, did I say quarter and play? I'm sorry. I keep trying to get to my point that I was trying to make, but just the thing of, and even in Bowling for Soup, doing in-stores back in the day, where you could just show up, and if we didn't have a show, I could just walk into a record store and be like, "Hey man, can we just do a show here in a couple of hours and just set up and play?" And they would just let us. And we would do that on Saturdays and Sundays, even if we had a show. You'd start at Hastings and see if you could get past that manager. If you couldn't, you'd go to whatever local place there was and just see if they'd let you set up and do a show. Some of the bigger, Bowling for Soup shows back in our hometown when nobody liked us, we'd set up in front of this place called CD Warehouse in the parking lot. And it was in the parking lot of an Albertsons, and people would just gravitate towards it because we were there and playing music or whatever. But again, all of it stems from a place selling music.
Yeah.
You know? And, but yeah, I mean, browsing albums, this whole thing, because you could flip through them. There's just this feeling. Now people know what it's like because people are buying vinyl again, you know? You know, and then when CDs were first out, they were in these big jackets.
Those big,
huge
long
cardboard boxes. And you could flip through those as well. And it was just, you would go to the record store for an hour, 2 hours and just chill.
Yeah.
And hang.
I can say from just the CD generation. I mean, clearly we had like tapes and stuff growing up, but I mean, even like the years that they were saying, like, you know, when everything was shutting down and all this stuff, I thought that was so weird because me and my friends used to hang out in the Virgin Records in the mall all the time. I met boyfriends there. We'd hang out. We'd sit there and you'd listen to music and you'd switch and your friend go, you'd have to listen to this, listen to track 7, and you'd switch it back and forth. And you'd be there all day and not buy shit and people'd hate you for it. Like, you know, like.
Is that Grapevine Mills? It's
Yeah.
a really big one.
Yeah, we had record stores, other places that you'd go to record stores.
But we didn't have anything like that. That
CD
shit,
Warehouse, same thing. CD Warehouse was like the shit everywhere you go.
That Virgin record store, though, was so brilliant because it was in the middle of this mall that is set up in a circle.
Yeah, you could cross through.
And you could fucking cross through. So the only
Now
way
it's
you
Forever
could get
21.
around the whole mall was to walk through this store or walk all the way around. It was brilliant.
Yep.
So it seems.
Uh-oh. There he is.
It seems.
Yeah, my brother and I used.
There we go. It seems like you wouldn't know which entrance to go into. Which one would you go into?
Oh, I think he went into Virgin Records, not into the mall.
No,
Entry 5 in a neighborhood 5.
Right.
Ustedes pasando por entrada 5, presentando 5.
I'll cut it together. It'll be good.
I thought you meant which entrance into Virgin Records. I'm like, the one by Hot Topic. Like, that's where all my friends worked.
Yeah, Spencer's, Hot Topic.
They had a sweet discount Hot Topic, by the way. I never had to work there, thank God, because
Amanda was the assistant manager there.
everybody wanted to work there, but then whenever you worked there, it was kind of like, oh shit, this is like retail.
Yeah.
Holidays at the mall and shit. But then I'd get the discount. My mom would go like meet my friends there and be like, hey, I need this list for Casey for Christmas.
So, you know, you go back to when they're talking about how in the 50s and early 60s, people bought singles. You'd put out a record, people would buy a record. And, you know, we learned that on That Thing You Do. Like you're talking about making a record, like an actual record, like a record, right? We love her, right?
Yep.
We're on the same page.
I'm
on
with
her.
you.
Yeah. And then he goes, but then the Beach Boys come along and people are like, I like every song on this, so I'm going to buy the album. And people start to gravitate towards the LP, which is interesting because 30 years later, 35 years later, would be the thing that the fans are saying, like, we just want to buy that one song. And we get deeper into that as this movie comes along, but that's really sort of the start of, all right, well, here's this album, you're going to come and pay all this money for it, we're giving you all this awesome art and all this. Everybody's stoked at first, but eventually they want to go back to just being able to buy that one song that they like.
Well, and there was a time when artists kind of put a lot of thought and effort into creating albums of music that were meant to be listened to in a certain order and kind of told a unified, if it didn't tell a unified story, then at least it was
watching a kung fu movie.
it was themed, you know. Yeah,
yes, because there's so many records where like, and I think that there's it doesn't necessarily have to be from that age, but you're right. That era, when you hear one of those songs on the radio, you just fully expect that next song to come on, and it doesn't. It goes to like the next artist or whatever, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I still don't shuffle like whenever I listen to music because like I will listen to albums on Spotify all the time, like because I like to listen to them because like whenever I went to download with you for the first time ever was the first time I ever saw somebody play their record live, and it was Linkin Park, and they played Hybrid Theory, and it was the fucking like greatest day of my life because that was like probably maybe the first meaningful album in me like turning into music or whatever. But whenever like the Used came in and you could pick which they had 2 nights and you could pick which album you listen to, and it was so cool because when that song ends you do instinctually just hear the next song coming up, and it's cool to watch that. Like
and by the way, Linkin Park live was goddamn crazy. Not my favorite band in the world, but holy shit were they good. You know, and yeah, I mean I totally get it. Now I just think Russ's story in this movie, it's a great journey. I like it's fun how his dad is supportive of him, how his dad is so smart, how his dad knew, you know what? I mean, shit, let's just put some records in this place and see. And he put them in. They all sold. It's like, we'll do this. It grows or whatever, and then figures out at some point, like, you know what? If you want to do this, yeah, I'm going to sell it to you.
You do it.
But you buy the debt. That's how I'm selling it to you.
You do it. Exactly.
Which was so smart also for him. Like, you know what? I'm out. You buy the debt. Now this is yours, and you can grow it if you
There you go.
You do it right. Like,
just go do it, and you take it over, And he does. And they didn't really talk a lot about, like, the bookstore. But he had apparently opened that bookstore really quickly after the record store, like after he went into
several,
this business. And what that's the original move, right? Because when record stores became really big and started getting really successful, you got superstores were combining books, video, music.
Yep.
Wait,
right?
Let me ask you this, because something that she just said, I thought of. Were there not Tower Books next to the Tower Records out here in Dallas?
Not that I remember.
I don't.
But again, we only had
okay.
we had maybe two locations
one
here.
on Lemon,
one on
like Oaklawn and Lemon.
Yes, and then didn't we have one at Lower Greenville?
I don't remember.
That's the one I'm struggling with.
Okay, because out there, most of the towers next door was a Tower Books, and you could actually go in either store.
Go in between.
But then in between.
Yeah, so you're right. It's that Hastings concept.
Yeah, and this guy had it. And you know what? I mean, what's crazy about it is that probably focusing on the books as the other shit started to go to hell, they'd probably still be around. You know what I mean? Or at least getting into those other avenues.
I mean, digital killed that too. I mean,
Well, it will eventually. That's
I worked
definitely
at a bookstore when the Kindle came out. It was just like,
oh God,
fuck. My mom, who got me the job at the bookstore because she had just Tupperwares full of books through our like giant tubs throughout our entire house, everywhere, like a book hoarder, and she'd trade them back in. It was a used one. You could get credit and get more. So she let me have the job, even though I wasn't allowed to have a job because I could get her a discount or just bring her home books. And then I came home one day and she fucking bought a Kindle. I was like, "You're a traitor. You're wrong." And then it just
teaching people a new way of doing things is really hard. Like, I will talk about this later. I think you'll leave it in, right, where I talk about So I'll talk to Mike, our guest, later, and I'll expand on this now, where I had a CD player at home and great speakers, but I couldn't afford a CD player in my car. Plus, I drove a 69 Ford Ranger that didn't have locks on the doors. I wasn't going to put one in there. So I would, if it was an album that I really wanted, if it was Queensryche or even Metallica, Slayer, that kind of shit, I bought a cassette and I bought a CD back then. And, so that I could have a Testament. I owned every Testament on both. And I had Testament vinyl, by the way, and I didn't even have a record player, but I really liked that band a lot. But yeah, it's hard to teach people something. So I wonder, though, from your standpoint, Casey, who still, you're an avid reader, your mom's a very avid reader, you're in book club or whatever. I do feel like it's a slower transition. Because, I'm like, for a book, for me,
people love to say, I love the way a book feels in my hand. I like the smell of a book.
I like to hold it.
Everything that they took away from you with the holding, and mind you, I still have never done the Kindle. I've never done that. I might have downloaded.
You're still reading books, then.
Yeah, I might have downloaded something on like an iPad because
we're traveling.
We were traveling or something, just in case. But I like to hold a book. But the things that whenever they first came out, you couldn't mark your pages and like all that. You can do it now. You can mark your pages and highlight the shit you want, and it's actually a lot easier if you're a note keeper and things like that. And if you like to write stuff in the, in the side, if you like to dog ear your books, you can do all of that in there. But it did take a long time for, I think, a lot of people to get there. Now I think people might even be going back a little bit more because I think that, I don't know.
Going back a little bit more to what?
I think I see less people using the Kindles now than I did.
See, that's what I think. So that's why I was saying that's why I was saying, like, as you're comparing,
because for a while at the airport, everybody had one.
Everybody had one.
Everybody can put it on their iPad now, so I may just.
But
not
also,
notice.
maybe books are being sold
they're all bought on Amazon. They're not going to be in a store.
Sure,
but do books, when you buy a book, do you get to download like the digital copy?
What do you mean?
No,
He's
like-
saying like when you used to buy a movie, they'd give
Or,
you.
no, you still like if you buy a Blu-ray, you can get the digital copy. So I'm wondering if they do that with books.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Oh.
I really wouldn't.
I mean-
every book I've bought in the last 3-4 years has all been on Amazon.
I still personally like having a magazine in my hand or a physical book. I don't do the digital.
Bookstores still exist, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Borders, yeah.
CD stores don't
Well, Borders
exist.
closed down, but Barnes and Noble's there. But Barnes and Noble is super technologically advanced. You can buy all their shit. They have their own version of the Kindle that you can download. It's just a spot.
You know why books will never go away? Kids.
Like children's books.
They'll
picture
never
books.
go away.
I
Just
believe children's books, but even
books.
textbooks in school, things like that, they're all going
Oh
digital.
no, totally. But I'm saying storybooks, they'll never go away. It'll never happen. I'm putting
I would
my
hope not.
It won't happen.
Otherwise, kids are gonna be just watching YouTube videos before bed with their
Exactly,
parents,
and
like,
you're
letting some
never
other
gonna.
person
I mean,
read
you're
it.
not. I mean, maybe eventually. I mean, maybe 50 years when it's just like, hey, we're out of trees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or something like that. But there is like laying in bed with your child at night is something. Even technologically advanced families who fucking don't have televisions in their rooms.
Yeah, I'll never tell him no for a book ever.
Yeah.
I never have, never will. I don't care where we are. If he wants a book, we'll get it, we'll read it, we'll do it, and I hope that he loves books when he's older. And if not, then
Yeah, we do the same thing every night with Ellen, man. He just, we each have to read one, and when Zoe's over, she has to read one. So most nights it's 2 books. Those nights it's 3 books, and he has a iPad that he, uses during the day. But at night, he doesn't want that. He
Well, he
wants to
shouldn't
sit
be
down
looking
and
at
read.
that at night anyway. It's
Right.
terrible
podcast
for his
nights
eyes. And,
are the nights that Everett puts himself to bed, which is the most kick-ass thing in the world that my kid will do that. Like,
yeah, it's pretty badass.
hey, good night, go into bed. He's 6 years old. That's awesome. But he will go, I'm going to leave my closet door open and I'm just going to read these books by myself. And he will. He'll likes to read them in bed, even by himself, whenever I'm not
That is awesome.
helping him do it.
He does
makes me
that.
happy.
He does that at nap time too. He'll,
That's because he doesn't actually take naps.
That's true. Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up. Now, a hangover leads to him finding a location in San Francisco.
Hilarious.
The fact that he just told that story the way that it fucking went down made the whole movie to me. He just he met a chick. He goes, hey, let's go to this.
He didn't even remember her name.
No, he goes, she was some nail technician. I take her to San Francisco. We have some food. We have some drinks. We do some dancing. We end up in a hotel room. He's basically just saying, we had a fucking great night. I got to get us back to there. Let's go get a greasy breakfast. There's a store. I'm just going to get it. What a great story.
And it so much credibility for not, corporate polishing of
Exactly.
your backstory. Is just like
I was
yeah.
just a little like, if I was that woman, I think I'd be upset that he didn't. And I was like, you know what? If it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't remember a fuck ton of people's names. And I've only been out of high school for 12 years.
Good point. And
I don't remember anybody's maiden name. That's gone.
The brilliance of him as a businessman back then, though, was that he did something that supermarkets do now. And that is, and a lot of people don't know this, but brands pay to be on supermarket shelves and in certain locations. And it goes into department stores, it goes into here, that you pay for your location. And the record labels are like, dude, you're fucked. You're going to go out of business, so we're just going to help you. We'll just front you the product. He opened a business on record company money.
What a charmed life.
Jesus Christ.
Stop.
No, but it's brilliant.
And it is.
It's so brilliant. And just, he did something that, it's the real American dream that not a lot of people have the wits about them to be able to do. And it is fucking great. I loved that story so much.
Be sure to wear flowers in your hair. It was like that. I mean, you walk through the streets of San Francisco and there were people, smoking pot and having little daisies in their hair and hanging out, and the Fillmore was packed, and, it was a change. People were against the war and against segregation, and there was a lot of political feeling in the world, and a lot of it was centered in a change that was happening in San Francisco, and that's the cauldron in which Tower Records was born.
Consequently, there were people pouring into San Francisco from all over Northern California, and for that matter, all over the world, to experience what could be called the hippie kind of movement, if you will, but mostly the music movement that was happening down there. All the San Francisco bands and the new music. And so many of the people that went in to be entertained by the music in San Francisco wanted to know where that music came from. They wanted to know the roots of that music.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wishes I had been able to experience the whole hippie thing.
I was thinking that. Why already said that. The flowers and I just.
All of that. You know why I really am glad that I didn't know?
Because you
Personal
would've died
hygiene?
and gotten
The
into-
smell.
Oh.
It's the smell. There's no way.
You live on a tour bus a lot of your life.
Yeah, but I have clean hands all the time.
You do. I'm talking about other people around you. That is the fart. Like that just becomes a fart box.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Imagine that, but nobody has like BO. Everybody cleans themselves, and it is debatable a smidge. But I mean, for it's an audio podcast, Casey. You fucking threw me to the wolves on that one. You know, he comes in.
Most people don't have any BO.
What's
but
interesting about this though is he has
tour happens.
the mindset of a superstore before there are superstores.
It's got to be scary.
Let's go in there and just put so much shit in there.
Yeah, the amount of inventory it would take, and you don't really know if it's going to be successful.
Exactly.
You're going to sell enough, but
Yep.
you know that was the vision.
Yeah, but
So-
you know what, man? It worked. Like when you would go through record stores, when you would see a really big stack of shit, you'd be like, "Man, I got to get that."
Yeah.
Whereas now, when you go through a store and you see a really big stack of shit, you're like,
Nobody wanted that.
They're trying to get rid of that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody wants that at all.
And I was in a record store last time I was in Denver to visit my brother, and the day after his gig, we were going around, stopped in this record store, and there's something kind of in conjunction with what you said is like kind of the dirtier and like less organized it is, the more I wanted to go through all of these stacks to make sure I wasn't missing something. You know, and I ended up buying 4 records while I was there because I got a turntable for Christmas a few years back. And I think when everything's neat and orderly and clean and antiseptic corporate, record store, it's just kind of like, well, this is what I want. This is what I'll get. But that disorganization and kind of dirtiness and...
I felt that way about
made me wanna-
recycled books in Denton always. I could spend hours and hours and hours in there and just walk through
Is that the
rooms.
one on the corner?
Yeah, the
I
big
love
one, the
that
Opera
one.
House.
Yeah.
And there's just like the rooms just never end. And maybe when I was younger, it even just felt even bigger. And like there's just something about just digging through that
Yes.
stuff. And you'd spend the whole day there and you'd buy 2 books and you're just like, your hands feel fucking disgusting and you're just like,
But I found them.
But
you know,
found
I found
it.
the
Yeah,
ones.
you found some stuff that you just didn't even know you wanted. And
You guys led me. You didn't even mean to. But you literally led me into what I was going to talk about next. And we have had in Dallas like an institution, like a place that it was on Inwood and Coit, and it was called Bill's Records and Tapes. And this place was the most fascinating place that you've ever experienced in your life. It was 2 huge rooms of just records and tapes
Posters.
and shirts and just shit everywhere, and you had to dig for it. You had no idea what you're gonna find. I found a fucking Queensryche imported VHS there that you are not even supposed to have in the United States. And here's the thing, nothing at Bill's Records Tapes
Has
had
a
price
price.
tag, so you would have to ask Bill.
Yep.
Even the employees didn't even know. Bill, how much is this? And he'd go, oh, it's this much. Guess what else? No cash register. He just had a wad of money in his pocket and would make change for you. And it was fucking awesome.
It was the weirdest. I mean, I don't know how early in your life you went to Bill's, after you got to Denton and whatever else.
Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
We used to come down and go school shopping for clothes when I was
To the big city.
To the big city. My mom would take us to the Galleria. My brother would get polos and fucking Banana Republic and the other fucking bullshit. I'd get a couple of pairs of Levi's. Okay, Girbauds. But I'd get a couple of pairs of Girbaud jeans.
Cavaricci's.
And then...
That was you.
It really was. And then I would wait, and we would go to Bill's, and all of my shirts were purchased at Bill's Records and Tapes.
Right on.
That's how long.
Cool. Yeah, my mall had this record store that was just a record store, just the plainest tapes and CD store.
Sure.
But I remember when I first got my driver's license, so I was in 10th grade and someone mentioning Bill's and me finding out where it was and me driving down there on a Saturday with my little brother, and just walking in there like, the fuck.
Yeah.
And Bill sitting there smoking cigarettes inside the store.
Yeah. Until he had to put a lawn chair outside because they wouldn't let him anymore.
And and like you said, no prices on anything. So, and we were two weenie kids from the suburbs, so I didn't want to ask. So I don't think we bought anything the first couple of times we went down there. But it was just like you said, this, the doors open, the smell, the look, the everything about it, it was overwhelming. Yeah. But it was also inviting. It made you want to get in there. It at least made me want to get in there.
Just go for it.
What am I missing out on? Yeah. Or bands that I liked. How far back can I trace
100%
a discography of theirs?
Yeah. So if it seems like what we're talking about is too localized, do yourself a favor and just Google it. Bill's Records and Tapes.
There's a documentary about it.
And is there?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a Dallas Film Festival Bill's Records documentary short.
I think I remember that. I think one of the local musicians did that.
All right, we'll pause here. Go watch it. See you guys next week.
You just want ravioli, you motherfucker. No, but anyway, it is worth just reading up on because I just don't think a lot of places like that existed. And he weathered the storm. I mean, they tried to save it. They did save it a few times. And then at some point you just can't make a living doing it anymore. But and he got old. I mean, God, he wasn't young.
He was old back
when
then.
I was going there, and but never forget that. Just some shirts were $20 and some of them were 10, and there was no rhyme or reason to it.
Nope.
And but he had some sort of
way knew it all. But how did he know whether this canned heat Japanese import, was $4 or $40?
I know.
I have no.
But he had it figured out, didn't he?
This Faster Pussycat vinyl, it just the encyclopedic knowledge.
Do you still have that, by the way?
Everything. Yeah, you want it?
No.
I do.
No.
I do want that.
We will fight for it.
No, I want that.
Okay, we'll set up a fight.
Okay. So they got bigger and bigger. He really tried to keep the family vibe. I'm a little surprised when we do our interview later with Mike. I was really surprised that he hadn't met him, that he hadn't met Russ, that if he worked there 10 years. I was very surprised that, because the way that he came across, he really put a lot of at least on this documentary, there was a lot of importance put on the ideas of people in the stores and and those things and people working their way up. And it did sound like he did that. It did sound like he started, and worked his way up. But again, you're in the hometown. Why isn't the guy coming in there and saying hi? And shit?
I don't know. By 89, though, I mean, that was 20 years after they had opened that first store.
Yeah, but it's in the second boom.
Well,
I mean,
that's
they're
true.
still having lunch. He's still having lunch with Bud every day.
But I mean, I know this might not make sense to you guys, but the music store that we worked at, the musician store, when I first started, I asked around, I'm like, is this Skip guy real? And they're like, yeah, he works here. Just his office is next door. And I was like, well, am I going to meet him? They were like, probably not. I was like, well, what's he look like? And they're like, oh, you'll know when you see him. It's a big Italian guy. And yeah, I'll tell you about my first interaction with him, but I argued with him. And then
Skip?
Yeah.
Do you think Russ could kick his ass?
Skip is the second largest guitar collector in the world.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was arguing with him about an old Gibson, and I ended up being right, but I wasn't, but looking back on my experience with
Skip. Were you being super passive aggressive? If you were, that would be weird.
No, I wasn't. No. No. But thinking about it, to how you're thinking about how Mike only got to, interact with Russ a handful of times, I probably only talked to Skip less than 10, because it's not I have my job and he has his, and he's dealing with upper management, so it's probably the same thing that happened at Tower.
Restaurants. The reason restaurants are successful.
Food. Tastes good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. So Dave Grohl comes in. And,
the restaurant?
No. I'm back to the... I'm just letting you have that one.
All right.
Okay. So lots of drinking and drugs, the lady says. And he comes up and he's just like, yeah, but I didn't allow any drinking or drugs on the thing. Yeah. Like, okay, whatever, but no dress code. I think we were both equally surprised to see Dave Grohl come on and just be like, yeah, he would just let me wear whatever I wanted. So I worked there at the shop. And snobs worked at music stores. That's just it. I mean, whether it's a music store that sells instruments or a record store, everybody there thinks they know fucking everything.
God, the number
like
of
the
times...
dude that works at a comic book store. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Just,
go into a Guitar Center or just any guitar store and asking to get a guitar off the wall.
Yeah.
And you just know the guy is going to get it down and then just play something real quick, just, because he's fucking rad and you're
Right.
terrible, and then hand it to you. All right, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
I have trouble. I've just now gotten to where I can go back in Guitar Center. For about the last, let me think about this, 16 to 17 years, I'll just have somebody that works for me go. But I will go now in there, and I like it now. But I think it's just because I get recognized and shit. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not. But because they don't treat me like I'm a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like when you just go in there, everybody's just a fucking asshole.
Noob. You're a noob.
But
you have credibility.
They're all fucking failed musicians or musicians that are gonna fail. Dewey, you're gonna fail.
Yeah, once I figured that out, it made it a lot more bearable to go in there and just be like, you fucking suck.
I will say,
I don't
though,
fucking suck. You suck.
even when you work there are so many, like, because me and my friends used to go to Guitar Center all the time just so my friends could go play the expensive guitars, but they never were going to buy them. So I had friends that were really fucking amazing at the guitar, so they'd want to go in there and plug it in and just fucking shred. So what I would do is I go plug it in and I'd be like, I'm literally going to crank this up and play fucking Seven Nation Army until you fucking let me leave this place. Over what you do. Because they'd always be like by themselves, and I'd be like, bam, 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 but like never any further, just over and over again. And they'd be like, Jesus Christ, let's get the fuck out of here. And I'd be like, okay, that's how it felt whenever you were playing that.
But at the same time, that's their goddamn job, is to get that guitar down and let you play it. They don't know how much you make. They don't know that you can't afford that guitar. You know what I mean? Like, and what if that person wins the lottery, or like their dad, who hasn't seen them since they're 5, comes around?
Well,
you know
that's
what
the
I mean?
thing too, especially nowadays. You never know what fucking kids just have rich ass parents. Everybody dresses the same, and nobody like like what?
Your phone's about to call.
Jared's opening a bill.
You just can't. You can't freaking
Have
bottom anymore.
I don't know if I've told this story on this particular podcast before. Did I tell the Don Henley story at Guitar Center yet?
No, but I want to hear it.
This is a fucking great story.
We should have a sound clip.
Does it end?
Jared tells us the story.
Last time I tried to have my own sound clip on something like that, I got shut down.
By who?
Everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. You do a lot of stuff really well though, babe.
Thanks, babe. I really appreciate that. Guitar Center story. Don Henley. He calls up to Guitar Center. Old friend of mine, Dave, who I don't really know anymore. This guy played drums for Valve for like a minute and a half, but he had like 8 kids, and so he works and whatever.
Yeah.
He worked at Guitar Center. So, guy calls up to Guitar Center, asks for the drum section. Dave picks up the phone. Guy at the other end says, "Hey man, here's the deal. This is Don Henley. My son's about to come in there. I want you to help him go ahead and get outfitted with a drum set. Whatever he wants. He's kind of just starting. I'm on the road. I can't be there. But would you just help him get whatever he doesn't want to play the same brand that I'm playing or whatever. I'm uncool dad. Help him figure it out, and then let me know how that goes, whatever." Okay, Don Henley, that's fine. Guy comes in, they build him a drum set, yada yada. Don Henley calls back and says, "Hey, I know this is asking a lot, but could you just deliver that to my house and set it up and just make sure he's all good and all that, because I'm out of town." Okay, Don Henley, I'll do that. He does that. Great experience for him. Don Henley's kid was cool, blah, blah, blah. A week later, Don Henley calls back, asks for him specifically, and he goes, "Hey, here's the deal. I have a deal with Tama." I think it was Tama at the time.
DW.
It was DW. You're right. He goes, "I have a deal with DW. Just pick out any kit you want that DW makes, and I'm just gonna have it delivered to your house. So he picks out like this 14-piece, like double kick, fucking Star Classic, just badass kit, and it just showed up at his house.
That's insane.
And it was free.
And that is insane because people say Don Henley is the biggest dickhead that
A
ever
lot of
walked
people
the
say
face
he's a
of this
dick.
earth.
A lot of
But,
people say he's a dick.
you know.
But anyway, he hooked
Does he
this
still
guy
have
up.
that kit?
That is a 100. Huh?
He
still
might
have
be
the
a
kit?
dick.
He was
Some
still
people are
playing it.
dicks whenever it comes to like business, but aren't if it's.
Yeah,
No, I mean, does he still have the kit today?
He was still playing it when he was in Valve, and I don't know him anymore.
Oh,
But I will just tell you that at that
Wow.
point, that was his kit that Don Henley fucking got him.
That's cool.
So if you're just Don Henley's kid, you just don't think he's cool. Like my dad was in like local Deep Ellum bands, and I'm still like Gibson Marshall, only way to go. Like I don't even know why.
I don't think my kids really think I'm cool, and I'm.
But they're not like
super famous.
music-y.
Yeah. The Sunset location did $75,000 in 3 days. Is that right? Is that what I?
Yeah, $75,000.
Dollars.
He said they said 3 days on the screen, but the guy said in like
In one day.
But-
So I don't know if you guys
I'd say
developed
2.
this. I don't know if you guys developed this though with this Russ. I started to think maybe some of the shit he was saying was bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he was kind of stretching things a little bit.
the owner?
Yeah.
Well, he's not the one that said it. It was Mustache that said it.
Oh well, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He basically he said you had to get the music in the store. Oh no, he goes. Oh no, then they switched to the guy Yuri, I believe his name is, who is like the head of Sony now with my friend Joe Riccatelli, former Jive promotion guy. Got his number in my phone. That's about all I'll tell you about that. And he said basically like if you didn't get music in Tower Records, you're doing a shitty fucking job. And I actually can remember that even from our first couple of records with Jive. Like, you score Walmart, and it'd be like, guys, you fucking got Walmart. This is huge. Guys, we just got Tower Records. This is fucking crazy kind of thing. We got a listening booth in Tower Records. Like, big, big, big deal.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so it was cool hearing that from his perspective.
People might have fucked in there while listening to one of your albums.
Well, by that time, it was CDs. They were out on the thing. So if they were fucking... people were watching.
I mean, there were a couple people that came into the store that I was so in awe of. I couldn't even approach them. Eric Clapton, when he came in, Jimmy Page, Pete Townsend. It was a constant flow, and nobody ever bothered them. I mean, they had a place there where they could go, and maybe a few people, oh, look over there, there's Elton John or whatever. But they kind of knew that was a place where you could hang and not really worry about anybody hassling you.
Tuesday mornings, I would be at Tower Records at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in LA. The store would open at 9 and they'd let me in. And it was a ritual, and it was a ritual I loved. It was, my music center. Yeah, I knew where everything was. And if they didn't have something in 1 week and they didn't have it in the next week, I told them, I said, you need to get this in.
Well, Elton was one that used to come even during business hours. He'd come out as a limo driver. His limo driver would just stand there with backs, and he would come through with a long, long list, go through the record bins, picking out all the new releases that he had seen.
I mean, Tower Records had everything. Those people knew their stuff. They were really on their ball. I mean, they just weren't employees and they happened to work in a music store. They were devotees of music. And that's what I loved about the Tower. I could talk about music with them. They could say, have you heard this? And it was just, they were like friends.
It's a little bit funny.
What, this feeling inside?
And I decided I was going to say that midway through the clip.
And you didn't know I'd retort?
And I kind of figured you would. I didn't know where I was going to go after that. But
it's got to be cool watching him come in and just seeing him check off the list of all the shit that he's getting or whatever, and just going in there and doing that every Tuesday. And he comes back later. I don't know if I mentioned this in my notes, so I'll mention it now. But he comes back later going, I was still doing that every Tuesday. I was still going in and buying shit, and that's how I was getting my music. And that's fucking Elton John, dude. Like, I don't give a shit who you are, but that dude is in the top 10 greatest of all time on every list.
And just the excess that he exudes, with his chauffeur standing there with a box as he just piles records into it.
It's part of it, though, man. It's part of it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I'd do that if I was Elton John.
Sure.
Yeah, but it is. It's part of that whole thing that he was doing. Like that, again, like I'm sure that was probably for some stupid news story or something. and maybe we're continuing that on now, right? But regardless, the shit is we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
And that was a very long time ago. Now in the back room, they could drink all you want, but you have to come to work, right?
It's like chef.
Yeah. So
pass out in the car outside because it's a big day the next day.
absolutely, and then they started to get into what they call in the 70s. They got into the hookers and blow. They started calling it hand truck fuel.
I love that
They used company money.
because they were able to expense it as hand truck fuel, knowing that the accountant is never going to question. It's like sending your kids in to get blinker fluid at the auto store. It's not a real thing.
Happen. I watched a friend literally just go in and look for it.
I have never heard this. Tell me more.
You tell them that your car, you send somebody in to go get they need blinker fluid.
And they have to ask or something?
Do it to Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Take him up to AutoZone.
Man, I think
just
he'd know.
Send him in there.
I think he'd know.
I don't know.
And then what? And then what does the guy at AutoZone do? He knows that it's a
they
joke.
are
Most of the time
in
they know
on
it's a
it.
joke. Sometimes they'll tell them it's not a thing, and sometimes they'll tell you to go look in aisle 7.
Yeah. And then when he comes back,
how do I not know
and then
about
you
this?
record him coming back, all embarrassed or pissed or whatever he is when he realizes
Blinker
you just
fluid.
sent him in there. Yeah,
Or I've heard wheel bearings or
yeah, something
like that.
Blinker fluid is a great name for a band.
is.
Casey, find out if there's a blinker fluid band.
No, that's okay. Bud, the VP, they have this love-hate relationship, and I love how, they're like the yin and yang. They always argue. They go to lunch every single day, but you put 2 drinks in the guy.
It's a band.
And they fucking, the guy's got a lampshade on his head. He goes, and Russ even goes, he's hanging from the lampshade. He goes, yeah, and Casey calls that out, right? And I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And then
okay,
he goes swinging from the chandelier,
swinging from the
lampshade
chandelier
on his head.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. That made a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
right?
it was all the buildup, the long buildup of how stern he was, and he was scary. He was Mr. No, whenever Russ was Mr. Yes, and it was you had to go through him, and he was the glue, and it's like till you got 2 drinks in him.
You got to have that guy though, but here's this guy who's straight laced, and he full on has this secret life of,
Lamborghinis and
indulging
chicks.
in cars and
Women
chicks
and boats and
booze and just that shot. I loved that shot of the 2 of them on the boat where it's just like that is a day where those 2 do not give a shit about any. There were no cell phones, there were no pagers back then. They're on the lake and nothing else mattered at that time. It's like you just don't. I'm envious of that. We don't get times like that anymore.
Yeah.
Again, there's such a give and take with the access, not the excess, the access that we have today. The things that we give up for that sometimes are just like, yeah, but I don't know. Like, we were talking the other day about vacation, and I said, I tend to go on vacation, and my wife is amazing, and I don't really, she doesn't give me shit like if I'm like, hey, I need to work for 2 hours, but it'd kind of be cool if the place just didn't have internet and I was just like, hey, sorry guys, like there's nothing I could do, these t-shirts will make it somehow, you know what I mean? But we just don't have that. It's just it's access, it's everywhere.
It is, yeah. I'm off of work this week. And today's Monday.
Yeah.
And first day off of work, and my email's on my phone, and so I was like, I guess I'll just see what's going on. Well, I saw something that I needed to reach out to my boss for and just let her know what was going on. And it was, you can't even get 4 hours into vacation without checking your email and then deciding that it was important enough to reach out. It sucks.
It does.
And I asked my dad recently, I said, you started work at TI in the 70s.
Wow.
That you didn't even have pagers, let alone
at the 635, at the headquarters. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, right out of college. And retired from Raytheon, which was the military division when they kind of split.
Yeah.
And he even said, I really don't know how we did it without email, without any pagers. He said, I just worked from the time I got there to the time I left, when sometimes the hours were long, but he was like, I never got interrupted by an email. I might get interrupted by someone walking from their office to my office or whatever, but he was like, it was just so different. And he said, we didn't have Excel spreadsheets. We didn't have, Microsoft Word to type up memos. We had secretaries that you handwritten notes, just the whole thing. And anybody of a certain age.
But the world moved at that same pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. You didn't feel like you were being left behind by everybody else moving, but he only retired maybe 6-7 years ago, and so how much it changed from when he started to
he saw it
to
all.
the end.
Yeah.
Just in a strictly business sense, or like you're saying, the ability to either disconnect or
right.
I mean, my job, I have to be connected all the time because people have to. Actually, Jarrett was there for this, and it's not on the same level at all. Mine's not email intensive and things like that. But my phone just like went black one day, so we took it to Best Buy.
Yeah,
and he just goes, "Is this gonna be done today?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, she needs it for work, and he just goes, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "My hairstyle." So he just goes, "Oh, because you need it for your Instagram and your things." And I was just like, "Yeah, well, my clients have to call me on the phone."
Yeah.
And he was just like,
schedule things.
"Oh," I'm like, "And my calendar's on my phone."
Yeah,
I schedule things
exactly.
on my phone. And the guy was just like, "Because you got to take your pictures and get your angles right." Remember, it was so
yeah,
weird.
It was
just
a little bit.
Was it condescending or was he being funny?
He was trying to be funny.
I think he was trying to be funny.
He was just being like, "Ooh, girl," like just trying to be like funny. But I was just like, well, people need to call me on my phone because
they were pretty overwhelmed. And you know what? Shout out to Best Buy.
No, they killed it.
They
was awesome.
I mean, because we don't have Apple
But
here.
it's like it had never even dawned on him that I need my phone for my job.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
but it just
yeah,
never
that's what I
crossed
told.
his
I
mind.
told the guy, I was just like, she needs it for work. I got to have this in an hour.
You got to get your angles and your posts and your likes. And I'm like, nope, just have to get my fucking phone calls.
What about this guy just stealing people's ties? Was that that? I mean, like he'd just go up and steal their tie. Like I thought it was cute, but then I started thinking, there's got to be people that don't think that's cute.
You lived in Denton, and so you must have gone down 380 a million times in your life. You remember the Trail Dust Steakhouse?
Of course.
They cut your tie.
Yeah. That's right.
They had
That
an
is
entire world.
right.
But I think after a certain amount of time, it's not a surprise anymore, and it's
No,
just
you
You just
gag,
wear the
and-
tie to do it.
Yeah,
That is right.
And you get to go down the big fucking slide.
and that is not there anymore, by the way.
I know.
The slide?
The whole building,
Trail
so-
dust, yeah,
including the
it's just all
slide.
gone. Yeah, everything.
This just in.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Trail Dust Steakhouse.
Eric has to pee.
Yeah, I had a.
No, I don't have to pee.
I actually
I
did.
had a super methy uncle, so sometimes I'd think we were going to Trail Dust. We were going to this bar called the Dusty Saddle. Wasn't the same.
Did they have a slide?
No, they just had like some creepy guy. He'd be like, "Go play pool with that dude." He'd be like, "All right."
Mike, thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, I just discovered that you're joining us all the way from Sacramento, which just makes me want to say, as I say each and every day, man, the fucking internet, it's just the best.
It's cool.
Just makes everything so tiny.
I mean, it's but sometimes it does make my penis larger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Are you with me on that? The internet makes my
the pornography.
Because of me, right? I didn't do that, did I?
I'm not gonna.
Stop
I'm
doing
not.
that.
I do have a thing for dudes with bald heads. I do, and
Thank you.
That is true. Yeah, it
Which is such a polar opposite from these pictures I'm looking at.
Hey, now, so I noticed in the background I see a stormtrooper. Are you a big Star Wars guy?
Not a big one, but I liked it when I was a kid.
Do you have kids?
No.
No kids.
God no.
I've got a pit bull and 3 chickens.
Fuck yeah, man. We used to know a guy with chickens.
We still know him.
We still know him,
but we don't know
But
the
there's no
chickens.
more fucking chickens.
More chickens?
No, there's no more chickens.
Oh, I'm gonna have to send him the. I'm gonna send him the photo.
He used to be such a responsible chicken owner. And then I don't know what the fuck. You know what the deal is? He met a chick, and then he didn't care about the chickens. That's what happened to those fucking chickens.
There's a song in there somewhere.
Remember how he would just talk about them all the time, and then we just never heard about the chickens
he had
anymore?
a name. There was Henrietta.
Everything.
And there was...
and they're just fucking dead now. He'd bring over eggs. They still had hair on them and shit. You know what I mean? No, I'm serious. These brown eggs come out of their butt, and they've still got just the remnants of stuff. You think they have to shave eggs before they?
They don't shave them. They have to wash them off. My dad has chickens, and when I was telling him the story about our friends' chickens who all died, he was like, "If you're gonna have chickens, you just got to know that eventually they will all die."
Yeah, they just die.
So I mean,
you just go get more chickens.
Yeah, it's a biological certainty.
Do you really have 3 chickens, Mike?
I do. Yep.
And do they live in the house or what's the?
In the backyard.
You have like a little coop.
little coop for them.
Nice. Now
they lay me eggs.
So Austin's chickens used to give him eggs too. Then he stopped. Then he met a chick, and then they're dead.
Which I just sent Mike the photo of the roof one.
Yeah, check this out. When you get this photo from Sean, this is what we got. This is my last chicken.
It's like it's upside down up there.
It's the saddest thing ever. It's like somebody was trying to send him a message. You know what I mean?
Put it in his bed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so bad. So bad. Well, dude, thanks for joining us. Pitbull, too. What does the Pitbull think of the chickens?
Mr. Worldwide.
Yes. He leaves them alone.
Yeah.
I like Pitbulls, man. They're good dogs. They really are.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Down here, you can't, there's, certain things, they won't let you live in certain apartments and shit if you have that kind of dog.
Get a bad rap.
You know, they get a bad rap. But
yeah.
You know, and what's weird about that is they're around rap all the time.
I figure there'd be enough videos of them licking babies and playing with baby ducks to where people would be like, okay, I guess they're not as bad as we thought. But
yeah. I mean, they have to edit out the part where they bite a baby's face off.
Yeah,
but
right.
up until that point.
Thanks, Michael.
I bet that baby had it coming.
Yeah, that fucking baby was probably being a little shithead.
Most babies do have it.
Yeah,
coming.
of course they do. Now, so the reason we're talking now, you guys. You want to tell us a little bit, Sean, about how you know Mike? Or
so there's a pretty big music store out in Sacramento called Skip's Music.
Okay.
And I started there in early '06.
When you say music store, do you mean selling records and CDs or music, drums and guitars?
Yeah.
Okay.
1973 is when Skip started it, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was 3 locations when I started. I worked at the main store number 1, and there was just this cool guy walking around with tattoos that looked pissed off all the time, and I was like, I got to become friends with that guy. And so we've known each other ever since. Worked together for about a year and a half until I moved on to the custom drum company.
Right.
But we've remained in touch.
Now, when you started at Skips, this is already after you had done the Tower Records thing for a while.
Yeah, that Skips and Tower are basically the only 2 jobs I've ever had, other than I tattooed at shops for a little bit.
Right. Are you still at Skips?
9 to 5 jobs was either Tower Records or Skips.
Yeah, and you're still at Skips now?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and so so you obviously probably know that Sean is the biggest gear nerd I have ever met in my life.
Yeah. I know that he gets the extra cool stuff. I'll get the cool stuff and he'll splurge and get the extra.
He does get the extra, but the other thing is just so I'm not a gear guy. I really don't care. I honestly if one of my texts could just go, it'd make your life easier and sound great if you just got this, and I'd be like, fine, go get it. I don't care. But so anytime I do have a question, it's awesome. I just have my own resource right here to my left in Sean 316, and it's nice to have. Now, tell us about getting your job at Tower. It sounds like it might have been your first job.
Yeah, I was straight out of high school. I was allegedly still 17.
Right.
When I got that job.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1989.
1989. So obviously they had kind of been through their first, what they called the lull in the music business or the music industry, when, if you watch in the movie, they were just kicking ass. And then disco, everybody put all their money on disco. It's just it's red or black or whatever, and they put it all on disco. And it as things do, when things get too cool in the world, we just shit on it.
Yeah,
this
sucks now.
Yeah, let's talk about hoverboards. See, those things are fucking stupid now.
Yeah, but they were awesome.
They were awesome 2 years ago.
First of all, they don't hover, so that is fucking stupid.
That's so stupid.
I hate it.
Lying boards is what they should be called.
Yeah. But it sounds like, though, and what they talk about in the movie, and this is actually something that what was funny, if I back up a smidge, when they're like, yeah, and then this huge boom hit, and they're like, there was Springsteen and Madonna, and I was like, way before Nirvana.
Oh, gosh.
No, I swear to God, it was like they said the lyric, but no. And then they actually incorporated that into this whole 1985 to 1992, where it's just a fucking explosion, right?
One thing after another.
Everybody's converting to CDs and all that. So about the time you started there, you guys were probably a CD store at that point, right?
They still had records when I was there. It was just records and cassettes, and then they had a little section of this new thing called a compact disc.
Yeah, actually. And now, how long did you work there?
For almost 10 years.
Holy shit! And then but then you saw then how that little compact disc section made the LPs go away, and then the cassettes went away, and you were there that whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, like
something that kids today aren't ever probably going to have to deal with is like, did you have records when you were growing up? Like actual records?
I did. Yeah. I'm 47, so yes, I had. Yeah. So yes, my first records that I bought were on vinyl, and I held to that and tried not to buy. And my brother's 5 years older than me, and that he was buying 8-tracks, And we would always.
So he had one more step. So like me and you, we had records, and then we had to go buy those exact same records on tape.
Yep.
And then we had to buy those exact same tapes a third time on compact disc.
Yeah.
And then now we probably bought them a fourth time on iTunes.
Yeah. You're exact. What's funny about that is that it is such a great thing that you just said. Now the transition though from vinyl to cassette, you could record down onto your vinyl. As if you got a Sears, you got this stereo from Sears, and then it would record directly into the thing, and it was great. You could transfer it over. Then you had all these handwritten cassettes and shit. But you're right. Like once CDs really became a thing, like I'll never forget. Like the biggest one for me was Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche, and I was just
me too.
And I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna get this.
Sounds so clean.
Exactly. It was to me. It was the greatest produced album ever, and I had to. I had to have it on CD. I had to have it, and that was the beginning of okay. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna transition. And then I got Sgt. Pepper's, and then I got The Cure. Oh God, that one. That you're so cold for a day. That Disintegration. And then it was just from there. It was just like I'm converting. But still, I there was a time where I was buying CDs and cassettes at the same time, just because I had a cassette player in my car.
Yep. Oh yeah, yep.
And so you would buy your favorite albums. You'd buy both. So that had to have been the best time in the music industry ever, where people were just like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna get both.
Yeah.
First CD I ever got was from Tower, Sunrise and Greenback. I don't know which store number that one was, but Dr. Feelgood.
Oh, good one.
Right after it came out.
I got that. That's the first Motley Crue album I bought on CD before I bought it on something else. Mm-hmm. Now, so tell us a little bit, if you don't mind. I mean, one of the cool things that I thought about the staff is they were honest on this documentary, and it is so true, because I would go hang out at the record store, look at records, look at tapes, look at CDs, whatever. Let's forget about what year, but more of just like the vibe of the record store. And going to a record store was kind of like going to a tattoo shop. It's like the workers there are super snooty, and they know way more shit than you do, And but you're like you're like Sean just said, you're one of the cool dudes.
I try to be.
But you guys, so you had almost your own club right there, just as employees of Tower Records.
Yeah, like that was a job, and it sounds weird to say this, but it's like I can remember getting off work, coming home, eating, and then going back there just to hang out.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people are like, you'd go hang back out at your job after you got up. It's like, yeah. Like you kind of didn't want to miss, because somebody might show up, something might happen.
Yeah, and I mean, what's great about that is they said that on the documentary. It's just like, and then sometimes people are like waking up at the shop. And now one of the things that Russ says on there is just like, hey, don't smoke pot on the premises, don't drink on the premises. I realize sometimes you guys are you're gonna party or whatever, but like, do your job. Did you really feel like that was sort of the rule around there? I mean, like, did you feel like everybody showed up, did their job, but you also fucked shit up?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, like when I worked there at the time, like I didn't do anything. So, I mean, I wasn't in there doing, what do they call it, hand truck fuel?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. What a funny What a funny word for that, you know. But and so you were literally going back and hanging out. You were part of the Just Say No generation, same as me. I didn't. So when I was young, I really wasn't into drinking, or I've never done drugs. But sometimes, again, you know, you're kind of going back over there just to see what the fuck, who's gonna fucking piss their pants or whatever, you know, or who's gonna. And like you said, did you guys have famous people come in there and stuff sometimes?
Yeah, we had my buddy, his name was Chuck Berry, and he was because we had in-store artists.
Right.
They don't really go into that too much in the documentary, but like we would cut the foam core and do the big 4 foot by 4 foot, you know, your album cover or whatever. And he worked at the bookstore.
Okay.
And he won a contest where Stephen King, if you won the contest, would fly to your store and then hand deliver you this check.
Wow.
And he kind of like, well, hey, while I'm here, I'll sign shit for a couple employees, and like basically whoever's in the store right now, we're not going to announce that Stephen King's here. I'm just going to do it or whatever. And so I got to go meet him, and you know, I waited in line and bought his book. He had him sign it for me, and I'm like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? Like, you know, you're the master of horror. Like, what do you listen to? And he's like, oh man, my son's getting me into this new band, Pearl Jam. I don't really like the singer too much, but the band is super tight. and man, this band Rancid, I could never find their first album, you know. And I'm like, I think we have that fucking next door. So like, after I got done meeting him, ran over there, bought it, brought it back, and I was like, hey man, it was super awesome to meet you. You could have been a dick because, you know, you're at the level to where you don't need me to be like, he was nice to me. You know,
if we get nothing else out of this interview, this dude bought "Let's Go" by Rancid for Stephen King.
And then he said I was the man. He's like, he's the man.
I mean, oh my God! First of all,
he just said I was the man.
Hey, first of all, what an insanely great record to have bought him. I mean, like a life-changing record for children at that time. You know what I mean? Like anybody born in like '80 who's into punk is just like, okay, that fucking changed my life, you know.
But when he went from Pearl Jam to Rancid, I was just like, all right.
Man, that is so cool. Now, do you remember, you know, working there for so long, do you remember any releases where it was just like, you know, it was so anticipated and the day that it came out and people waiting in line, any stories about something like that? Like,
I mean, we would have the artists come into the store.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when stuff like that would happen. I remember we had when MC Hammer, the one with Don't, I think it's Hammer Don't Hurt Him, because I was a rap buyer at the time.
Yeah, second one.
I remember getting that, putting it all up. Okay. It snowed in Sacramento that day.
Oh, okay.
Wait, that was 91, wasn't it?
Probably something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, it's only snowed in Sacramento like maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Since I've been alive, I should say.
And so it snowed on MC Hammer before his in-store, as if that shouldn't have been like, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to have the best of luck in this business.
He had good luck in that business.
He really did.
It was everything else that was a disaster.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing, kids. If you're in the music business, all right, and this is the God's honest truth, if I could give any advice to any upcoming musicians, go after all the pussy you want. Just don't support your posse.
I would say that, and if you ever find yourself even considering purchasing a tiger, then that's always a bad idea.
You've gone too far.
It's never ended well for anybody.
You've gone too far
to own a tiger.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I mean, look what happened to fucking Siegfried or Roy. I don't know. I can't tell them apart.
Didn't Mike Tyson have a tiger?
He did in The Hangover.
And look at Mike Tyson now.
Well, he's solid kicking ass now.
He,
Dude, he's back.
Made a rebound. Yeah,
he's back. It might have been the tiger that did it.
Well, if you're Mike Tyson, buy a tiger. If you're not Mike Tyson,
stay away.
Don't buy
stay away from those tigers.
From the tiger. So, you know, how old were you when you started working there again? 17. So, I mean,
allegedly.
You're one of the cool kids, man. You're just there. You're working at the record store. I mean, and again, like, it just seemed like to me, now, did you ever meet Russ?
I met him a couple times when he'd come in the store, but I mean, he wouldn't have remembered who I was, probably.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you worked there 10 years, and you're in his hometown. Did he move eventually? Did he relocate?
I don't think so. I think he lived here, and then I think he died here in Sacramento.
Yeah, stayed in Sacramento. So, I mean, he would just kind of pop in, and then, but it seemed like he did, would he come up, talk to you about things, and he definitely was into the staff's ideas.
Yeah, I mean, well, the people that they show in the documentary are all from the main office.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was going into, like, necessarily the stores. There's the one guy that, with the mustache that opens up Japan.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was a shipping and receiving clerk, like, in a store, but all those other people, I think, are from the main office.
Yeah, they all started in that drugstore store and, like, went up that. Let's talk about that mustache. Or maybe not. I don't know.
And that guy.
The guy aside, but, I mean, look, what makes you... Maybe he fucking had a scar on his lip or some shit, and he wanted to cover it up.
I think that's the biggest mustache I've ever seen.
For it to just be a mustache and nothing else. That was really...
There's no
prominent.
side, nothing. It's just like this big old...
It just is...
How?
It was a walrus.
Yeah, it's a walrus-ish type thing. I don't know. The whole it's just too long.
It's too much.
It's too much.
How's that guy ever going to enjoy soup?
Through a straw.
Yeah. And also, I don't know. What do you think that... And I'm just not trying to just be dirty, but what do you think that thing's like on a clitoris?
So you are trying to be
awesome.
dirty?
I'm not... You think it's awesome?
It's like a
I'm
brush.
just saying it might be. I don't...
It's just like a brush, It is. It's like a...
You're asking the wrong group of people.
If he's got some little, thing...
Some little thing that he can do with his top lip. He just...
Let me clean you up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's for afterwards. He mops up. Just. Oh man.
Now that guy's gonna come kick my ass.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I think you can take that, dude. So you look back upon your time at Tower Records with positivity.
Yeah, it's some of the best times of my life for sure.
And it sounds like that they paid well, that like their employees, they took care of everybody. No. Oh boy, no. See, let's get the real shit. That's what we're here for.
I remember being told by one of the managers that they're like, we basically pay you so little because we know you're going to steal. And it's like, well, but what if I don't? Can I get more than $4.25 an hour?
Yeah, holy shit, man. God, I only worked one job ever for other people, and I made $3.35 an hour, and minimum wage was $3.25, and they paid you the extra 10 cents an hour so that you would come in with a clean shirt. Because I wash dishes, and I'm like, what the fuck do you care if I have a clean shirt on or not? Like, it's a fucking uniform that you give me. I get 2 of them. Like the
pizza place. Is that where you work?
No, I worked at a cafeteria.
Oh, cafeteria.
Piccadilly cafeteria. And I washed dishes, and then.
So when you came in with a dirty shirt, they're like, now you're on to $3.25 an hour.
No, they'd just be like, hey, why don't you do me a favor? Go ahead and wash it. Hey, Jared, come on in here. His name was Graff. Jared, come on in here. Hey, why don't you do me a favor? You know why we give you that $3.45 instead of $3.35? $3.35 instead of $3.25? Yeah, that's so you can come in with a clean shirt. So why don't you do me a favor? Go ahead and wash that, whatever. You'd call him in and you'd be sick. Like, hey, Graff, I'm sick, man. I can't come in. Hey, why don't you do me a favor? Just come on in. If you get sick, we'll send you home.
I am sick.
Yeah, I'm telling you I'm sick right now. And me and all my friends worked at the same place, so like we'd call in sick on the same day because we had some shit going on, And he caught on to that pretty quick. Anyway, I fucking hated that job, man. It sucked.
Hey, Michael, in 1989, you started in '89. Is that what you said?
Yep.
So was that still a time where people would, line up outside the store to get whatever new album was out? I tend to think of that kind of.
We would do like the midnight releases. So say the new Kiss album comes out on Tuesday, we'd be open tonight until midnight so that it's technically Tuesday,
right.
And then you can start to sell it.
Right on.
And remember we did the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion ones, and it was people were there till like 2 in the. There's like 2 hours worth of people showed up.
What was that the longest line for an album? Because that was my question. Is what was the longest line for an album? Release that you saw.
Oh god damn.
Man, Use Your Illusion had to have been crazy because I remember.
What about Black Album though?
That might have been one of them.
Black Album.
I remember we did an in-store for Donny Osmond. Yeah, Black Album was another one.
Yeah.
they show some of that in that year and a half in the life of Metallica, I think it is, documentary. They show people at Tower at midnight, like fucking like, oh,
yeah. Man, do you think that they were stoked about that album, or do you think they were disappointed, Sean?
They're probably excited.
Yeah.
But I remember, and correct my memory, Mike, I remember having to wait in line, because wasn't there like a Ticketmaster built into some of the towers?
Some of the towers had Ticketmaster in them.
I remember having to wait in line like for tickets like way back in the day.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
You'd go to the record store and buy your tickets.
Yeah. And then I think later on it moved to like a Bel Air or a Rayleigh's, which is like the grocery stores out there, which I was like, well, this is no fucking fun.
Yeah. Our Ticketmaster was
Get your groceries and concert tickets.
Yeah.
Was at Sears at Collin Creek Mall.
Yeah, I think
that's where the Ticketmaster was.
I think there was one at Albertsons in Denton. But Wichita Falls, we didn't have that shit. You had to like order it on the internet. We didn't have the internet.
I was like, no.
I'm just kidding. I don't remember how we did that. I think it really was Albertsons.
You go to the venue and then there's a guy with a jacket and he opens them up and he's got all the tickets in there.
No, but I don't think so, because I guess we would have had to have bought them
by mail.
No, I mean, I don't know how we would have done that.
Pigeon.
I'm gonna have to try to figure that out, because like if we were going to see a show at Reunion Arena, we didn't drive down to Dallas to get tickets. I don't know how the fuck we did that. There had to have been some sort of a
would you have
ticket
called and like done a credit card over the phone?
No, what's a phone? I'm just kidding. No, I don't think so. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that was it. You had like a number you called, and then they sent your tickets to you. That's probably what it was. And it was just busy all the time. And it was that's what it was. That sounds right. Yeah, I got tickets to Metallica Queensryche, and then it sleeted, and my mom wouldn't let me go. And I was old enough to just go, but scared of my dad, so I didn't see that show. Fucking
bummer, man. Could have changed your life.
Yep.
Yeah, I might have gotten into music.
You missed music, and
we'll see.
Yeah, well.
Might have started a band.
Mike, when you look back on your fondness and your memories of Tower Records, you got a couple of memories that stick out. Anything, just a fun story about working there and being at the store?
That Stephen King story is one of them.
That's a good one, by the way.
When Metallica came and played in the parking lot.
Yeah. Oh man.
That was pretty rad. Afterwards, I was running around with one of those big ass, 90s video cameras, like the shoulder.
Yeah. Totally.
Style ones.
Yeah, like you're a cameraman for CNN, Like,
yeah, they're like, well, go, because the store was closed, and they let all the Metallica guys come in and basically like shop, get whatever you want. I'm sure they got it for free.
Yeah.
And my manager's like, yeah, we'll go run around and like film them while they're shopping. And it's like they just had played out on that truck. I don't know if you've ever seen that video, but there's the video of it on YouTube of, just look up Metallica Sacramento Tower Records. They're playing in the parking lot.
It just insane.
When they got done.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just insane amount of people and stuff.
Oh yeah, the whole parking lot was filled. I remember the fire marshal came and tried to shut it down, and it's like, these people will riot if you don't let Metallica play.
Totally, yeah.
Like they're going to destroy this Tower Records. So they ended up letting them do it. I think they did two. They were supposed to do 3 shows like that where they just pull up on the back of this semi and play.
Yeah. And
ours was the last one that they got to do.
Yeah.
Then the next place, I think they were like, nope.
Yeah, nobody wants that liability. That's yeah. I mean, I will say that we used to do in-stores all the time, and they would always just let us have whatever we wanted. Like it'd be like, you guys can go pick out 10 CDs each, or whatever. And so, yeah, I'm sure Metallica probably got their fucking like whatever the fuck they wanted. But we would always divide up. There's 4 of us. We get 40 CDs. We could cover quite a few areas with that, and then, like you said, eventually digitize it all. And now you just don't give a fuck anymore, right? You just YouTube it. It's do you you sort of see that? I think the saddest part of that whole thing is just him going, people are always going to want to collect, and they're always going to want this, and we're going to be there, and you're always going to want your CDs or whatever. And he seemed like he was so on top of it, which is like, eventually you're going to be streaming things or beaming things into people's homes, and you're just like, oh man, Now,
Jared, I in your notes I have
this is coming, and then
he saw it coming, and he didn't go with his gut, and Well, obviously, it was too late.
So in your notes, Jared, I put photos of Mike back at Tower if you want to pull those out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's see what's.
When I had glorious long hair.
Glorious locks of hair.
It's in the tab. The tab.
In the tab. Oh, there he is.
Well, my hair abandoned me.
If you want to maximize that.
Oh my God, dude, that is some fucking badass hair too. Look at this guy.
You'd think it would be around forever, but it just was like.
That's just not the way that it
I'm
works.
sick of this guy.
So we're out of here.
Yep. Can everybody see those on the screen?
So, Mike, who's the photo with the guy?
Dude, you got to meet Ozzy.
Oh yeah, that was the other story I was gonna say. Is so working at Tower, like for a while I was an artist where I would do the airbrushing and all that stuff, and the record labels would come in and go, "Hey, here's tickets for this, or here's this brand new CD or whatever. We need you to make an Ozzy display." So I got tickets to that show. And then got backstage passes and got to meet him.
Wow, that is super cool, man.
Was awesome, yeah. Got to see all of his kids when they were tiny.
Yeah. Well, super cool, dude. That's got to be an amazing memory set that you have there. And, dude, super cool to get your perspective on it. Thank you so much, man, for joining us and giving us some of your
somebody
time.
asked about a picture.
Oh, yeah, I was asking who are the other photos of?
Oh, okay, let's go back to the top. Can he see this?
No, he can't.
Hold on a second.
It's the guy and the girl.
This right here is a picture of Mike and a Coca-Cola. I believe that's a 16-ounce bottle, which they do not make anymore.
That's my Coca-Cola.
Yep. Used to like Sunkissed in those. I used to like Sunkissed.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really
those glass,
good. 16-ounce glass bottle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, put peanuts in it.
Oh man, it would make me burp. Oh man, I could fuck shit up with a Sunkissed.
Oh, okay. So there's the big guy is Olin Polynice. He used to be a Sacramento King.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
And then the chick she was a penthouse, whatever those are called.
Pet.
Yeah,
pet.
Penthouse pet.
Like a penthouse playboy. No, that's not right.
He's a pet. And that's a Coca-Cola. And then this is you and a crowd of people, and you're flipping off the camera.
So that the Deftones played out behind Tower Records.
Nice.
And somebody just got a picture of me standing there doing that.
And then you're on stage with another band.
So another cool story. Got to go to Iron Maiden.
Oh wow!
Went backstage, met them. They were super awesome guys. And then their rep was like, "Hey, do you want to go on stage with all the radio winners?" So like people that called into the radio station and you're the 666 caller for Iron Maiden or whatever.
Now seeing the bass on there makes sense.
Group about 20 people up onto the stage to sing the chorus of some song.
That is fucking awesome. You're just standing there with Steve Harris. Yeah. Now, if you're watching the stream, you got to see this guy. Hold on. Let's see if I can zoom in on this fucker. Hold on.
There's a little guy, Ed, that was, he's my buddy. He worked at Tower forever.
That's Ed?
No, look at this
guy. That's little Ed, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's Ed.
That's Ed?
That's Ed.
Oh, my God. Just the mustache and he is fucking rocking out.
Ed was one of the coolest people I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Very cool. Man, I mean, dude, what great experiences. Fucking A. All from working at a record store.
Yep.
Mike.
Go ahead and switch it back over.
You're the goddamn best. Thank you so very much. Hopefully, let me know if I'm ever in the area. If you'd like to come out and say hello, I'd love to hang and have a beer with you and talk bad about Sean.
Let's do that for sure.
I think you'll be in Berkeley soon.
Yeah, I don't know how far away you are from Berkeley, but I am there in
a couple
of weeks.
All right, let's see if that works out.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, Mike.
You too, man.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you guys.